Wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this actually, before jumping into the ins and outs of end-to-end data science, if we're talking about fails and failure modes, we have talked about some of the biggest value that data science can deliver. What are some common failure modes, or how can data science fail?
I can feel a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I'm not one of those people that's like, I am kind of a pessimist in this sense. I saw JD join, by the way.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
in the
and
crowd. Hi, JD.
yeah, he's made some great points as
I
well.
know.
He made a point that looking at data is fantastic, making sure pipelines have access points to peek into data being
Yes.
transformed, which is
Huge.
yeah,
Yeah, I like that. Those just more transparency in general to the business and to whoever's using it is just, I think, a requirement. Like it's key.
yep,
Otherwise, you're just, I wouldn't. I want to know how something's working before I start, putting it out into the field, at least to some extent. But
absolutely.
that's just me. But
Yeah,
no, sorry, we were talking about
failure modes. Yeah,
failure
how data
modes.
science can
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like people think that it's like there's this magic data science box and you put the data in, like, just feed it in and then out comes insights and profit, right? And that's that transparency part that I think is still lacking for a lot of
Mm,
people of like what goes into this. So failure mode is number one, starting and just doing stuff. I've seen this happen all the time. Standing up big clusters, getting a Hadoop cluster, Spark, whatever it is, Databricks, and then just putting all the data into a data lake. And so you're like checking off a box, but no one knows what the point is or what they want to do with it,
mm,
right? So failure mode number one is like not formulating a question in the first place.
mm-hmm.
Data science is not this magical thing where if you just throw the data in, magic stuff appears. Um, and it's one of those things where I think that the biggest thing, and you and I were talking about this earlier, is communication. Like
Yeah,
you tell me you want all this data together, you want to visualize these charts. You gave me 20 ways you want to visualize data. But can you tell me why that is? Like, what are you ultimately trying to do? And after having that conversation with the client, I usually can come away with a better grasp of what it is they're trying to accomplish and then build them something rather than just generating charts and sending them reports and PowerPoints. It's like, let me just give you a tool that's going to like do what you need on a rinse and repeat basis. But that process can be difficult, especially if you're not like in direct communication with, the end users.
yeah, and ideally it is iterative and bespoke. There are patterns we can form, but it does come down to the actual question. One thing I'm hearing here is doing your best as possible to tightly couple the data work to the actual business question.
Yes. Tying it back to I'm always asking, well, why? Why do you want to do that?
Mm,
And sometimes people just don't have a good answer. And then we
yeah,
got to go back to the drawing board. And I say, well, I don't want to just make charts for fun. Let's
yeah,
figure out why you want to do this. Um, and then sometimes, other than that, usually we get there. The other failure mode, I think, is trying to be too thoughtful up front and build out detailed requirements. And I'm
mm-hmm.
like beating a dead horse about this rapid prototyping idea, but I still firmly believe in it. It's still been very successful. Um, I was just on a project where the requirements document was pretty good. I could go back to it and look at the R code and figure out if things were working the way they were expected. But I'd ask questions about, hey, can I reference this in the requirements document? Because I need to I need to update the code. And they'd say, no, that's out of date now. I think, okay, well
Mm,
then where are we gathering all this updated information? Where's this updated information coming from? Well, the
yep,
updated information was coming from the scientists
mm,
and the clinicians, and it was just being relayed in like emails and all over and here and there. And so it's just, you have to iterate. I think you build a V0, you put it in front of your scientists or your users, you get that feedback, you track it somewhere, and you make a few small changes and you put it in front of them again.
yep,
But it just doesn't work if you're thinking you're going to anticipate every little thing with a data product at the outset.
absolutely.